Rebuilding a Stuart Major Beam engine Part 10, making the special water pump fittings to carry water to the pump and back to a suitable steam boiler. I am making custom length fittings to suit the application. Some painting and starting final assembly. What you're looking at is a temporary fitting. I'll just remove this piece of mahogany, I'm still not sure about that, and I'll remove the temporary fittings that I put in. Time now to make the proper fittings. It's quite a simple job. Over to the lathe, a piece of 3/8 bar in the lathe. This is brass, of course. I face off the end, then I use a centre drill to centre drill the end. The next thing to do is to slow the lathe down by engaging the back gear, and I'm using a 3/8 by 32 threads per inch die in the tailstock die holder to cut the thread. And I can verify that the thread's okay by just checking it with a 3/8 by 32 nut. After I cut this first thread, I removed the brass from the chuck and measured it with a ruler to make sure it was going to be long enough to go all the way through the wooden base. When I figured out exactly what the length was going to be, I just chopped 2 pieces of brass to the length I required. Taking each piece in turn, first of all I faced the end, then I centre drilled them, and then I cut a thread on the end of each of them. As the video is running at double speed and sometimes faster than that, just to save time, I'd better explain what I'm doing here. I'm cutting a thread at both ends of each of the pieces of brass. At the moment this is still a solid piece of bar I'm working with, so I now need to drill a hole down the centre so it becomes a water pipe. Because this is quite a long piece of brass, I have to attack it from both ends, and I do use the term attack lightly. So I'm using a 3/16 of an inch diameter twist drill, and I go in first of all from one end and then from the other. And hopefully the drill will break through into the hole somewhere in the centre of the brass, preferably without snapping off. So when you think you're near the breakthrough point, take it easy. Now I'm repeating the process on the other piece of brass, so I'll end up with 2 thick walled tubes. As you're drilling these pieces of brass, make sure that you clear the chippings frequently, particularly when you get right up to the end of the drill. If you get past the fluted area, the whole drill will become solid with brass chippings. And if you do keep piling on the pressure, that would probably cause the drill bit to break in the work, and a water pipe with a broken drill bit in it is going to be quite an ineffective water pipe. At this point this is getting very tedious, but in no time at all, as if by a miracle, the job is finished. The holes are drilled all the way through from both sides, and we have a very good water pipe, which now needs threading at one end quite a long way down. So do this in stages, back off the die now and again. And of course you do need to run the lathe slowly in back gear. This is giving the wrong impression because the video is speeded up. This clip shows me doing exactly the same to the other piece of brass. I will end up with 2 pieces with a short thread on one end and a long thread on the other. And now, said Dr. Frankenstein, it's time to make a couple of nuts. Igor, fetch me the brass hexagon. The brass hexagon is put in the chuck, it's centre drilled and then drilled tapping size for 3/8 by 32 threads per inch. Then all I have to do is use a 3/8 by 32 tap to cut the thread, after which I can part off the nuts. I'm using a small tap here just to catch the nuts so I don't have to grovel about in the tray underneath with all the swath. And as if by magic, a pair of water fittings. I have quite a lot of existing 3/8 by 32 union nuts. I always buy them from a friend of mine who seems to make the world's supply of union nuts these days, and again is quite near to where I live. Now these union nuts are beautifully made. The nuts that I made are okay, they're just very workmanlike. So if I machine down some of these nuts, they'll look a lot better. So I did just that, put them in the chuck, machined them down, and when I put them in position, they look really nice. My friend Chris makes really good steam fittings. I think he must have inherited this skill from his father, who was one of the best model engineers I've ever met. When I was much younger than I am today, he was the one who showed me how to silver solder, and just generally gave me hints and tips all the time. This man in question is called Don English, and his business is called Jubilee Fittings. They've been in business for a long, long time. Back to the rebuild now, and I just cannot warm to this mahogany piece. No matter what I do with it, it doesn't look right. In fact, I'm not going to use it. Executive decision. The brick and the brass plate look better. Yes, I think I prefer it this way. The next thing to look at is what I'm going to do about the corners. I have a choice of some brass angle or some mahogany angle. So I've already bought the brass angle and I could chop that up, but I think what I'll do is I'll make some mahogany angle and see what it looks like. I quite like the idea of framing the brick with mahogany to match the top. So as you can see, what I've done here is I've glued 2 pieces of mahogany together with some cyanoacrylate adhesive, then using some square pieces of brass and lots of clamps to hold everything square, I'll leave it like this until everything sets. So I don't know what you'll think watching this, but I do think mahogany is the favourite at the moment. We shall see. I'm removing clamps, as you can see, from the 2 pieces of mahogany that are stuck together with cyanoacrylate adhesive. The brass pieces are also stuck to the mahogany. I didn't bother showing you the procedure by which I removed those. But it did involve the use of a small hammer and a small amount of ultraviolence to separate the brass from the mahogany. To separate metal parts that have been stuck together using cyanoacrylate adhesive, a shock is required. Not an electric shock, health and safety warning, just an impact shock. I now have a nice piece of mahogany corner angle, but it's too big for the job, so I'm just trimming it down on the bandsaw. And after using a bandsaw, it's a good idea to have a quick look at your hand to make sure all your fingers are present and correct. And if they are, you can carry on and put the piece of mahogany up against the work. But if you do find yourself a bit light in the finger department after using the mahogany, it's probably a good idea to go to the nearest A&E department. Oh yes, and don't forget to take the missing finger bits with you. At the same time that I was trimming the piece of mahogany on the bandsaw, I cut a piece of brass and tried that in place to see what that looked like. No, I definitely don't like the brass. Back to the mahogany. It's not looking too bad, but there's something wrong. As this whole episode is about making decisions, well, most of it, I thought, aha, a decision. I will spray the mahogany with some red primer and see what that looks like. And it actually looks a little bit better. The difficulty is seeing the bigger picture. Looking at this clip, I'm almost tempted to paint the piece of mahogany exactly the same colour as the brick. That could look okay, I suppose. But then I thought to myself, I know, I'll paint it black. And I didn't really like that at all. It matched the bed plate, but that's about it. I thank everyone who suggested using doll's house corner bricks. I am quite aware what's available in the marketplace, and I've looked at them and tried them in the past, and I've not been happy with them. It's obvious that mahogany's out of the question, it doesn't look right. In the same way as this small frame didn't look right. I thought to myself, I wonder what it would look like if I painted it with some LMS red, like the rest of the engine. So I set to and painted the frame Crimson Lake, which is LMS red. And then unfortunately I did degenerate into play mode and push the piece around the board with the paintbrush. And that was my futile attempt at time-lapse video. I thought, aha, I will paint the corner with this LMS red as well. I can't do anything with it, I can't actually put it on the base until it dries. We'll see what it looks like. As I had the pot of paint open, I thought it's an ideal opportunity to give all the parts a second coat. This is a very tedious job and I haven't shown all the rubbing down that I did before I gave it a second coat. Nevertheless, it will be good in the end. This selection of parts have all had a second coat of paint, so once the paint has dried and hardened, the parts can start to be reassembled and fitted to the bed plate. Time for a bit of relaxation now. This is a tin of Brasso wadding. This stuff is amazing, it's been around for a long time, and it's as good today as it was a long time ago. I would use it for cleaning copper and brass parts. I would start off on a polishing spindle, I have one of those, and then I would finish off by hand with Brasso and finally with a cotton cloth, and all the parts come up looking rather well. For the final part of this episode, I'm temporarily fitting the pulley and the other parts to the crankshaft. They were initially very tight. I think they must have been bored to fit the original crankshaft, which was undersize. This crankshaft is 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and now everything is a nice snug fit on this crankshaft. That's it for now. Thanks for watching and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.